and welcome to the Jesu Otaku anime review. Today's review is about an epic bloodbath, tremendous enough to watch about 12 school buses and deeply scar the 576 kiddos aboard, no doubt. Now, where the devil did I put that remote?
In this world, is the destiny of mankind controlled by some transcendental entity or law? Is it like the hand of God hovering above? At least it is true that man has no control, even over his own will.
The kingdom of Midland cowers under the oppressive rule of an evil king. A beast of a man named the Black Swordsman has arrived to take this king's life. What follows is a mystery, but what came before is a tale of fate and loyalty, of war and betrayal. It's the story of Guts, a warrior with no aim in his blood-stained life but to fight and survive, and how he became the behemoth Black Swordsman, who had dared to overthrow a kingdom ruled by a demon. Young Guts is rather forcibly hired into the company of the Band of the Hawk by its leader, Griffith. The charismatic captain sees great potential in Guts and hopes to use him to achieve his dream of becoming King of Midland, despite being only a commoner himself. Together, the Band of the Hawk, led by Griffith and co-commanded by Guts and the feisty female warrior Casca, gains favor and fortune through victories on the battlefield. But while fortune smiles on the Band of the Hawk, the wheel of fate turns for those unfortunate enough to be snared by its greatest temptation. Now, you may or may not be able to tell by looking at this show that it's about as ugly and grizzled as its demon villains. The animation is bare bones in this show, absolutely putrid sometimes, and guess what? I almost don't care, because the story is an absolute masterpiece. Almost don't care. Anime is short for animation, people, not slideshow! Equal parts political intrigue and fantastical nightmare, the story sucks you in like few stories can. When I was little, I spent many an hour I should have been doing homework, reading the classic Dolaire's book of Greek myths, so seeing a story where even the greatest of men are cleverly controlled by twisted fate, cursed treasure, and omens that tickle at their ankles for years only to gobble them up at their finest hour, well, it brings on big bloody buckets of nostalgia for me. In practical terms, the writing is just brilliant in this show. Guts is all brawny impulse and no tact, while Griffith is the snick-tongued philosopher with high ambitions, and they complement each other perfectly, each man drastically changing the other as the story constantly churns forward, although I only wish I could say it was for the better. Mixed in with these titans, you have Casca, who is probably the most relatable character, and surprisingly, a strong woman in her own right, instead of just being a fan service feast.
Insane! I hate to tell you this, but I saved your life back there! It wasn't easy dragging you out of the river, covered in armor! And you choose to thank me by throwing a knife at my head? Be thankful that you are just a woman, or I dislocate your jaw!
She's fiercely loyal to her commander Griffith and despises his upstart new Lieutenant Guts, but of course things are gonna change the more these two firecrackers cross paths.
I never asked to be born a woman.
Hey, I'm sorry.
Although I only wish I could say it was for the better. On the technical side of things, I refuse to even mention the animation because it bloody well speaks for itself, doesn't it? It's bad. Enjoy the detailed art stills and pretend you're watching an unusually colorful manga, pretty much. I mean, at least the art is good, it just rarely moves, and when I say moves, I mean it jumps around like an epileptic reindeer. The music is an odd blend of pounding medieval instruments and passionate folk singing that really serves the series well and sounds downright amazing, which is the real reason I displayed more of the trailer in my review than raw footage. Not because I'm lazy. maybe. The Japanese track is fine for the show. The English dub is more hit and miss. Guts is good, Casca is great, and all the incidental characters serve their roles appropriately, but Griffith's English voice is a detriment to his character. He flitters wildly between overly wooden and overly melodramatic, but never really hits the mark. He kind of sounds like he's higher than a kite in a dark room most of the time. Not at all bad, but kind of uncomfortable and too distant to be half as charismatic as he's supposed to be. Overall, it's entirely listenable and mostly quite good, but Griffith's soliloquizing is certainly the low point of the dub.
Will you always be left doubting me when I lay down my life for you?
Not that he doesn't have a lovely singing voice.
Take my love, I'll never ask for too much. 'Cause I'm just a girl who can't say no. Can't seem to say it at all.
Mostly. If I chose to ignore the animation completely, I think oh, come on, more speed lines? More! I could have given this 4 stars, honest to goodness. Maybe. But I'm definitely not gonna. You know why? Because just when the biggest bombshell of the series lands and tears your invested mind and heart to ribbons, the show ends. That's right, it's got a read the manga ending tacked onto the most mortifying cliffhanger I have ever witnessed in anything, period. In the end, I don't even know how to properly describe how badly this ending, quote-unquote, skewers Berserk as a rewarding experience, so I'll cheat and I'll use an impossible metaphor. It's like I'm eating a sub sandwich, and then within the first bite, an epiphany! This is the best sandwich I've ever tasted, and the words eat fresh don't begin to approach its otherworldly power over my taste buds. Suddenly, a slack-jawed demon with a glandular problem leaps out of my sandwich and chases me around the room, attempting to sing like Mae West while making improper gestures at me. I pitch the sandwich his way, and it eats it before it hits the ground, flips me the bird, and leaves. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Say, wow, that was the best sandwich I've ever eaten? I paid for it, in more ways than one. It all depends on your perspective, but my conclusion is that while I'm glad I saw the series, that horrible non-ending and the below sea-level budget drops it 2 potential letter grades and changes a series I could imagine watching over and over again into one that I've sworn off possibly forever after seeing it twice. Berserk is available from Media Blasters. Side note, the bloopers on those discs are like the funniest thing I've ever seen, so check them out.
Bazich, please, don't hate the player, hate the game!
The original manga by Kentaro Miura is available from Dark Horse Comics. I found it, all in all, a rare example of classical dramatic tragedy with a gripping plot, legendary characters, and lots of blood and guts in every sense of the word. But the decrepit animation and complete lack of an acceptable conclusion really hurt its potential. I love the train ride until the jarring wreck at the end, so I give Berserk 3 great big bloody explosions. Out of 4.
Looking back, the morning comes to find your face.